dubious. If someone comes into Scientology and says they are L. Ron Hubbard reborn, how does Scientology authenticate the claim? Or if someone young comes into an org and says they were in Scientology in a past life and have already signed a billion-year contract, what would they do? If somehow proven true, yeah, right, do they have to sign up for another billion years? Is there some written procedure to follow in either case? Okay, Rob, yeah, there are procedures for past life Scientologists who come into Scientology newly and say, I was audited in a past life. First off, they will be believed because Scientology does believe in past lives. However, there's actually a whole 3-page issue on this that I was reading before I started the show here, and it's a little interesting. If this, then this. If this, then this. But basically, how it goes is a lot depends on whether the person is saying whether they were clear or an OT in a past life. That's a little bit more. It's a little bit of a different deal. And of course, somebody coming in saying they were L. Ron Hubbard, they're going to definitely be raked over the coals. Let's see, where to start? Well, with somebody coming in and claiming they were Hubbard, most Scientology churches would just say, okay, whatever, dude. If you're really serious about it, go to a Sea Org, because we're not equipped to deal with anything like that. Nobody at a class 5 or city level church would really have any idea what to do if somebody came in like that. They'd probably think the guy was just nuts, and of course they'd be right, and they'd probably just kick him out the door. If somebody were to come in and really seriously pursue that they were L. Ron Hubbard in a past life, they would get security checked, and this is actually part of the procedure for everybody originating past life auditing anyway. But this, of course, somebody coming in claiming this, and they would have to pay for that. I mean, they're going to be putting their money where their mouth is in terms of proving that they were L. Ron Hubbard. And the sec check would be extensive, and it would be very invasive, and it would ask all kinds of questions, and they would want to check all kinds of things. And then at the end of the day, they're just going to kick the guy out the door anyway, because they're never going to believe that somebody coming in was actually L. Ron Hubbard in a past life. And it's kind of funny because they have these mansions built for him and this whole preservation of the tech thing, and there are people waiting for him to come back. But I don't think anybody would actually be able to make it through the entire gauntlet. And if somebody who even tried would have to have the most intimate knowledge of every single thing about L. Ron Hubbard's life, because there are still people in Scientology who worked with the man for decades. All those guys holed up at the international base, for example. Many of them worked with L. Ron Hubbard directly for years. I mean, Norman Starkey, for example, Ray Midoff. I'm sure Guillaume Lessev met and interacted with Hubbard a couple times, maybe not. But I know those two did, and of course there are many others, at that level, at the RTC level, and of course David Miscavige did. So he would be, first and foremost, the person you'd have to prove it to, and I'm sure he'd be a little freaked out actually if somebody actually was coming after it with full force and in the church, letting other people know I was L. Ron Hubbard, really making a production out of it. But such a person would be debunked easily, very, very quickly by these people who actually knew and worked with Hubbard, because you're not going to get away with those guys. You're not going to get away with, oh, it's a little dim in my memory. I don't quite remember that conversation we had. No, they're going to want to know the intimate details of private conversations that they had with Hubbard. That would be one way easily to authenticate or debunk somebody who claimed to be L. Ron Hubbard. And, and this guy who's running around right now claiming to be Hubbard, I mean, that's just a big joke. So, anyway, so that's how that would go. And it would take a lot of work and a lot of money on this guy's part to try to prove he was Hubbard, only to end up, not proving it. As far as somebody coming in and saying they were a Sea Org member in a past life, not that weird, coming into Scientology and saying that, or saying that they were in Scientology in a past life. The basic procedure is to find out from the person what their name was and where they were getting auditing, and then go find those folders. Scientology has piles and piles and scads and warehouses of folders of auditing that they've done on people. And I had 50-something folders of auditing notes and sessions myself, just me. And there's been, thousands of people in Scientology who have gotten lots and lots and lots of PC folders. So they're supposed to separate when somebody dies. They're supposed to take their folders and put them in a different, separate location from the pre-clear folders that are stored of live people. I don't know that they do this. I mean, we weren't particularly, really good at keeping up the folder admin and the organization. It was a bit of a mess in PAC in Los Angeles. In Clearwater, they have a better system, and they started when I was leaving. Or not when I was leaving, actually years before, we did put a barcode scanning system in for all these folders. And so I think that's probably pretty operational and up and running at this point. So maybe they physically separated the dead people's folders from the live ones. I couldn't really say, but I'm sure computer system-wise they have it separated out. And so you're supposed to theoretically be able to find any PC folder anywhere, in the world through this computerized system. And so they would look up your name. You'd say, okay, well, who were you? Oh, I was John Jones, and I was being audited at St. Hill. And they go, okay. So they call up St. Hill, or they send a message to St. Hill, and they go, look up, you got any PC folders for this guy, John Jones? And if they don't, of course, well, I guess they either remembered it wrong, or they don't have the folders anymore. I mean, 1,000 things could have happened. Or, of course, one of those things being that the guy never really existed. But they try to get that information. And if it does turn out to be legit, wow, there's proof of past lives. Guess what? I never saw it happen once the whole time I was in. So I don't know that anybody has ever successfully claimed a past life identity, and then they actually went and found their folders. I've never heard of that. I have heard of people when I was in who came in, gave a name, they tried to find it, didn't work out. I'm one of those people, by the way. I gave a past life name because I thought when I was in that I had been audited in a past life. They never did find the name of the person that I said I was. I just laugh about it all now. The other thing they will do is they will, do auditing actions on the person to verify past life auditing. There's various procedures they have. I don't need to get into all the details of it. But they're not long or extensive actions. And if a person says they were clear or OT in a past life, then, like I said, they are sec-checked, and they are asked all kinds of, at their own expense, they are asked questions about, okay, well, are you here under false pretenses? Are you lying about being a past life clear? Like, they'll check questions like that. And not necessarily assuming that the person is lying, but just checking it out with an E-meter. Because the E-meter doesn't lie, according to Scientology. Yeah, right. So that's basically what they would do. And then if a person came in and said, your last bit here, if it was proven that they were around in a past life somehow, would they be required to sign another contract? The legal contract, maybe, and probably they would, sign a new Sea Org contract with their new name on it for this lifetime. But they would understand that they're, fulfilling their contract from their last lifetime. And that would be quite a story. I met a few Sea Org members who claimed to have been past life Scientologists, but no one ever had proof of it. It was all just sort of subjective. So it would be quite interesting if they actually did dig up the guy's last contract and PC folders and things like that. Anyway, that's kind of how that would go, and there you go.